All right. Hello, everyone. This is Rahul again from Telemetry. I'm sure you guys have heard a lot about me, spoken to me during this entire week. Uh, but also, this being the last segment of our conference, I'm not going to bore you guys with company portfolios and what Telemetry does, what we sell, and what not. But I'll do say one thing. We've been involved with Faucet right since the early days. We do thank Faucet Foundation, Josh and Brad a lot too. It has been a great learning experience for all of us, especially back for our internal teams, the engineering teams too. Even though we are a networking company, the adoption of SDN or anything new is, as you guys would have predicted, it's pretty slow because a lot of people come from traditional backgrounds. People are not robust enough to change their mentalities or to change the way networking is supposed to be done. So, having said that, we had a small agenda of things to do last few days in our company. We said, you know what, let's try to migrate some portions of our corporate network onto this thing called as SDN. And we've all been talking about Faucet for the last few years in the company. What does Faucet mean to everyone? So we thought, okay, let's try to engage the IT teams. Now, there were a few roadblocks, as we could all expect. Again, people not willing to change the way networking is supposed to be done, whereas SDN has a lot to give you in terms of flexibility. So one of the main thing was in line with our dog fooding. As I'm sure most of you guys know, we can preach to our customers, we can preach to everyone that, hey, we do SDN, we do Faucet, but it's only as good as the network you run, right? That's the principle we are taking over here right now. Also, SDN is pretty flexible enough. It should be deployed internally first, so that we can learn a lot more things about what are the pain points of our users, what exactly are we trying to solve here. Faucet is mature enough to deploy. Now, there are a couple of reasons I say that. It's been a couple of years since Faucet has been in action. We've got a couple of deployments, hackathons. We have done small-scale networks. We've done a couple of, I believe, one of the ONF events too. We had converted using Faucet. People didn't know about it, but it was Faucet running, and that's how Faucet or SDN should be. People should not need to know what they're running on. Right? It should just work as normal. Also, the regression test, the unit test framework that the community has created, that is very helpful to us. We've pretty much run those test suites every time Faucet releases a new version, or pretty much every quarter, once a quarter when we have our own releases. So I think Faucet is pretty mature enough to do that. The next part we also wanted to show people is a bird's eye view of network. Now, we all are guilty of selling our own NMS systems, our own proprietary solutions. So this was another take we had on open sourcing everything. So what exactly can Prometheus, Grafana, and even Poseidon, what can they offer us? And there are a lot of tools available to us right now. It's just the matter of deploying them and using them. And finally, multi-vendor deployment. I do see Arista has joined the party too, so I do thank you guys for that. I do hope it is not a far-fetched dream. We would invite all vendors and even new ones coming up to join this mission of making things easier for customers, be it a greenfield deployment, be it a brownfield deployment. I think as a community, we can solve together. So. Now, having said that, there are a lot of things going on in this deployment. I'm going to let my friend Shota talk about it. But before I go there, by no means is this topology complete. There were a lot of roadblocks. We've tried to isolate that. We've spoken to Josh and Brad. They've been grateful to accept some of our pain points and maybe adopt a few things in Faucet too.
Hi, I'm Shota. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the network that we deployed. So basically, I think this was actually similar to what the PlugFest topology was originally supposed to be. But since 2 days ago, we didn't get the chance to get uplink to the Google network, we were able to actually deploy this into our corporate environment. But we don't have it currently because of some little arguments with IT. We didn't really get the opportunity to deploy L3, and it's just running L2. But but we were able to add the APs to this environment, and basically the top two links are lagged, and then our idea is to um, expand this network by adding more edge switches as depending on like maybe if our finance team can join their OpenFlow network, then we can maybe add on to the bottom switches. And then moving on, we're hoping to add Poseidon to this. We because of our previous challenges with we had a network, we had a different network topology before this that we were unable to deploy, and because of that we weren't able to get to deploying Poseidon. But we're going to add two interfaces to each of the aggregator switches up there, and feed data into Poseidon, hopefully. And then maybe we can work with the IQT team to further deploy this. And moving on, we're hoping to maybe if the Cisco and the Aruba team is willing to donate some switches, we can add on to this environment. Yeah. But yeah, that's about it. We just wanted to make sure, we just wanted to be more part of the community than just passing the tests. And yeah.
Also, what he's also trying to show over here is this new greenfield deployment will also be part of his stack, which means it's a spanning tree protocol, as Josh rightly had put it. And this should be easily deployable by all customers, new and existing. Next part I would like to also show you guys is the proof is always in the telemetry, being the buzzword right now. So we did manage to get at least some statistics that the network is running. We didn't get a lot of errors. We didn't get a lot of packet drops, which means everything looks okay. Again, do not pay too much attention to the bandwidths. We were battling out with IT on what sectors or segments of network we could take. But anyways, that's just a drill down of how Faucet was. We didn't do too many reboots because, of course, we didn't have Poseidon running there. We would have wished to Poseidon to hammer the network with a lot of changes and see how it adopts. But again, there were also a couple of issues there, which is one key takeaway. As this network grows and scales, right, the number of root switches also grow. And that is one question we had for the community is how do we detect these root switches and what's the right algorithm to apply? Because not every algorithm is going to work in every scenario. So the fastest way to get to answer that is to actually deploy it, find the problem, find what your flows are doing, find what broadcast traffic, what multicast traffic is sitting on your network, and what's actually creating a loop. Because it might seem like things are looking okay, but especially when the VP of your company doesn't get a corporate IP, that's when there is something wrong. So, but again, we would like to thank our DevOps teams, and we would also like to thank our corporate IT infrastructure teams to give us this opportunity at least to showcase what Faucet and SDN can bring to the table here. By no means is this a complete picture. This is just phase 0, as I would like to call it. There are different phases. We want to extend this topology into an all-complete OpenFlow fabric. It'll be cool to have Arista and Cisco gear in there too. We promise not to open it up. The other thing would be to have Poseidon there, see what kind of data we learn, and if actually there are a lot of bad actors there in the network, how we can mitigate them. And having that open flow access point there opens up a lot more deployment opportunities. And of course, again, I would like to thank the Faucet community, the Faucet Foundation, Google for hosting us today, and always Josh and Brad. So, thank you. Are there any questions?
Well, just one. I wish to congratulate you on your.
Sure.
It's amazing. Someone has to go first and
Sure.
question with. Yeah, just for the various topologies. Right. Fantastic use cases for us to say, okay, right, we.
Right.
It's going to be a pleasure.
No, definitely. And we do thank you again for that. So now there was also one more problem which a lot of traditional network engineers had is, no, there is going to be a loop. We need these extra loop protection and protocols, and they just wouldn't believe that there is loop protection available in SDN for free. There is also stacking that comes at a free cost. So these are some of the advantages we would like to talk to companies and even teams internally. So I'm sure a lot more interesting use cases will come up and we'll share with them. Sure.
Yes. Can you share some current status of the OpenFlow enabled?
Okay.
Are you using policies?
No chaperones here, so I can talk, right? So the current status of OpenFlow on our access point, it's in beta stage. We are still working out some of the kinks there because Faucet, even though from a switch aspect, we were able to get all the multi-table aspects driven down easily. Wireless is a separate beast in itself. You've got different radios, you've got VAPs per radio you got to tackle, and with things like open config coming in, different data models coming in, we're always evaluating which is the right channel to go. So I believe sometime next year, early next year, we should have it ready in a production stage. But we are also actively engaging a lot of our partners to deploy these access points and tell us what's working, what's not working. So we would be happy to help.
Response to that. Gosh, back in 20, I don't know, 14 or something, Maroon Networks and Talat Networks had OpenFlow enabled access points.
That's right.
And I think HP might have also.
Uh-huh.
Maroon was bought by Fortinet. They shut down their OpenFlow access. Tally, I don't think it's dead yet. HP is unclear.
Okay, that's true. And that was a bold move for us too. We are a small organization compared to these ones. But we thought, hey, you know what? We've already deployed OpenFlow on almost all our wired infrastructure. Why not do wireless too? So.
One more data point. My office at work has been using 80 access points for the last 2 years. My phone still seems to be.
Thanks.